Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. I am going to be talking today a bit about the journey, what's involved in the OCD recovery journey, what it feels like, why is it, what are the symptoms, what does it feel like day to day going through the OCD recovery journey. What do people not know about that? What do people not know how that feels? Okay, so that is what I'm going to be specifically looking at. Now, the most important thing with this journey is until you're in it, until you've experienced it and felt it, you don't know, it's very consuming. It's very tiring. It locks all around you, takes over with all the symptoms. Until you're in that, experiencing that day to day, it's very difficult to understand what that feels like. Let me give you an example. Right now, I am in a position where I can sit on this couch and talk to you about that journey. I am not in a position where I can remember right now every single thing that I felt when I was in that. Because it's very hard to remember that. Let me give you another example. If I was standing on the top of a mountain in -20 and you said to me, can you remember what it feels like to be very hot lying on a beach? I can have an idea, but I can't remember the exact sensation. That is very much like OCD. When you're in it, when I say bring it for the ride, yes, we bring it for the ride, but it's not easy. I want to highlight today the difficulty involved with the journey, with parts of it. Because often when we're all talking about things, not so much me because I'm a realist and I talk about things as they are. As people know, follow this account. You know, this is a very no-nonsense account. I tell it exactly how it is. There's no sort of light-painted journey talking about just thoughts are thoughts and off we go smiling. That ain't the reality of it, not one bit. Now, when you're in that journey with OCD and it's locked around and you're thinking, you've got physical symptoms, you're not sleeping. I'm always making a likeness to when I'm working a lot, because I work a lot of hours in different time zones, and so I work a lot with OCD recovery, with the company, and other things, other projects that I'm involved in my normal life and business and different things that I do. So I'm always working, always doing a lot of things. Now, I work pretty late because of the time zones, and sometimes I wake up and I'm a bit tired. Now I can always get a bit of sleep somewhere, and I'm not always, and I have a good awareness of sleep, so I do get it. But I sometimes mention on these Instagram lives, like today for example, where I've worked pretty late and I feel a bit tired, and I think, how does this relate to when I was really struggling? When I was really struggling, I could relax as much as I wanted in bed and I would feel chronically anxious. The sleep would be disrupted, the sleep would be distorted constantly because I was tired and my brain was keeping me awake because of anxiety. It's what it does, it keeps you alert. So I was in that cycle, constantly going around, waking up early, waking up intermittently, short sleep, waking up really alert, then lying there for an hour. It's very, very tiring and disruptive. So that's one of the physical symptoms that you might have. So to paint a picture of what OCD is like, you've got that symptom, not being able to sleep. You've got physical symptoms, physical anxiety, all these different things that are pouring away. You might have palpitations. You might be being kept awake. So then you're tired, drained, muscles fatigued. You may have brain fog, cloudy vision, sweaty skin, sweat just walking down, not even that hard, finding it impossible to exercise, all these combinations. That's the physical symptoms. Now let's talk about the OCD itself and how it consumes. The OCD itself, you may have a thought, POCD, harm OCD, that's latched on and locked on, and you're absolutely locked in that. It's pumping away all the time. You're guilty. You've done something terrible. No one's going to like you. Your life's fucking over. All the time. Bang, 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 every second, every minute. Sensory motor OCD, like you're being tortured in your head. Over. Every minute I used to lie in the bath, just relax. bang, 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 it would be in the background all day long. I know that journey. I know what the journey is really like. I know exactly how it feels. I know the difficulty there. You've got so many parts to the journey. You've got the suffering, which wipes your energy down, which you need to get better. You've then got your sleep, which obviously you want because you want your time, bit of rest. So that's being knocked. Then you've also got the learning, which is hard because very few people even understand OCD. And if you find those people, most of the time, those people that do understand it, they've got about 70% understanding. So you're still stuck, even in most cases. The books, you've got to read a lot. You've got to know what right books to read. It's a long journey in terms of all the complications. And we all know that. I know that. When I went to therapist, I used to say all the time, come out there and think, why the fuck do I know more about OCD than the person that I'm paying to get me better about OCD? So I knew something was wrong. Then with the books, reading books that were just telling me the same thing, 20 books all on the same thing. Leave thoughts there, be at peace with the thoughts. A very important part of the journey. But it was completely wrong. It was only that. So I was stuck and I thought, I'm the only person in the world who's stuck like this. I wasn't the only person in the world. Most people are like that, and it's never been dealt with properly because the understanding needed is only in this current period in time where we're really starting to understand things. So that is very much the case. So you've got all of those components in the journey that make things hard. Feeling alone, feeling like you're the only one, having to fit in society where everyone else hasn't got that. Then you can't mention it, because if you mention it, people say, oh, just don't worry about it, stop talking about it, or whatever. But what I wanted this Instagram Live to be about was to highlight the difficulty involved in it, both with the OCD, both with the physical symptoms, both with the journey. So it is not easy. And why am I highlighting that? Because it's to give yourself compassion when you're going through it to get better, so that you think, shit, you know what, I don't need to be so hard on myself because this isn't the easiest thing. So that we take it like that. People coast to coast often thinking they're recovered, going from feeling terrible to feeling better. That's okay. They're functioning, they can live better, they can enjoy life, do a lot more things at times. But recovery takes practice, it takes work. But it's so worth it because it gives you freedom from things. Okay? Now, the problem is, if you don't remind yourself of the challenges you're facing, you don't give yourself enough credit. So that is very, very important. Give yourself credit for the journey that you're on and the work you're doing. Even if you're not doing that much work to get better at the moment, and you're just making it through each day, give yourself credit for that. Because that is so important. I used to beat myself up so hard. You've got to do more. You're too weak because you can't. You're leaving that there. Oh, you're too weak because of this. Oh, you don't know enough. Oh, you're doing this to yourself. Other people can go on. Absolute crap. Absolute crap. And the things that used to make that feel even more so was, especially I see so much on social media, is all these nice, lovely coloured pictures that say, let thoughts float throughout your head and do all of this stuff. A nice part of it, but in reality, it ain't that fucking easy. It ain't. And I have to highlight that. It ain't. We know that. The people who are going through it, we know that. Yes, it's an important part, but you can't just sit there and think, I'm just having a thought, I'll leave it there, I'll go on about my day. I'm just having a thought, I'll leave it there, and just go about my day. Absolute rubbish. It's a part of it. Yes, you can do that when you get a better level of acceptance and you face fears. Yes, you can do that more and more. But you certainly cannot do that alone. If somebody came in the door to me and said, look, Rob, I'm suicidal, I'm terrified of getting HIV, and I went along with the approach, okay, leave the thoughts there, you've got to distance yourself from the thoughts, so on. I could be speaking to a brick wall for months. It ain't gonna do anything, because they are completely fused to they are stuck, that this situation is awful, this situation is not OCD. You have got to create that separation. If you do not create the separation, they feel stuck. I can talk to them about it's OCD and thoughts, forget it. You need to get into the fear, create a gap between where they're fused into those thoughts, and then that gap is what will help get them better to see things differently, to calm down and bring things down. They're completely locked onto that. That's one thing. That's a very, very important part of the journey. Now, another thing is everyone's journeys are different. Some people will take quite a long time to recover. Long in the scheme of life, no, but longer than they want. It might take them a few years, right, with regular work. They might have to have a lot more sessions than someone else, but that's just the way it is. That's the way their body is reacting. Same as somebody might be able to go to the gym, train twice a week and be pumped up, great shape and super fit. Someone else might need to go 6 times a week to get the same results. It's just how it is. But we need to accept that everyone's journey is different. Everyone's journey is different, and if you go to more sessions than somebody else, this is not weakness. You're going to gather insight into how you are thinking, seeing life, and your overall mental health and well-being. So because someone goes a lot more than you, or you go less or more than someone else, that doesn't matter. It's about working towards getting yourself better. Therapy has the most nonsense stigma about it in the world. People don't even think about the brain, even though it's an organ in the body. Any other organ, they would say, oh, it's completely understandable. They don't, but therapy is not thought of. Therapy is everything. It's how you think. Every decision that every single person's ever made, be it in sport, business, relationships, is because of thinking. So we have insight into, getting an insight into our thinking is crucial to our life in every way, every single way. So it's important. I couldn't care less whether I went to therapy 3 times a week, once a week, or whatever. If it wouldn't make a difference to me. If I was getting some gain from it and it was improving, I couldn't care what anybody thought about it. It's so important to do it for yourself. Do what you need for you to get better. Fuck what anyone else thinks about it, and forget what anyone else needs in their own way. It's what it works for you. Specifically what works for you and how long it takes you to understand things. So I think that's crucial. We have to look at those stigmas relating to how much we attend therapy, how we are doing with our own journey, the exposures that were difficult to us and might be different for somebody else. Everyone's journey is different. Someone else might come in, they'll be terrified to even pick up a pamphlet on HIV. Somebody else can go into a clinic and shake hands with somebody with HIV far quicker than another person. Doesn't matter. I've seen people that have come in, done very small exposures and kept reiterating to me, Rob, I know I'm worse than a lot of people, which I always say to them, this is not the case. It's a case of when you get momentum and you believe in yourself. Some people that come into me, they far exceed the speed of getting better and the knowledge and the determination just in so many ways than people that came in, which was a lot easier. I was speaking to a girl who was 18 years old. She had been suicidal for about 3 years. She had recently made a few suicide attempts. She came into me. She kept putting herself down constantly, saying, oh, I'm no good. I'm never going to make it, Rob. I'm never going to be able to achieve what other people achieve. There's no much hope from me. I'm sure I'm one of your worst people, which I always know from day one when they're saying that they've had no insight yet into what they can achieve. And within a very short time, she was doing far more difficult exposures and shame attacks than 90% of the people that I work with, because once she started to see what she could achieve, she was driven, propelled by that experience to go on and really keep doing it. And she was so impressed with what she was seeing out of herself that it propelled her further and further. I see that all the time. It's the same as in exercise. The people that are often great in the gym or great in a sport are the people that were put down the most, the people that thought they had the worst genes. Coming from a sector myself, from my own past experience with the gyms and sort of from an experience of weight training, people that got into it didn't get into it often because they had the best genetics. They got into it because they had the worst genetics and they wanted to change things. So it doesn't matter what you're coming to it with. It doesn't matter if you think you're the shyest person on earth. It doesn't matter if you think you're the most scared person on earth. That doesn't matter. What matters is putting in the effort to do that, which you can find. Anyone can find. People always say, oh, I can't even find the effort. I'm never going to be able to achieve that. That's because they haven't even started moving 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter becomes a centimeter, an inch, a foot, a meter. Fast, quickly, that builds momentum. That's where it starts. Motivation is something that when you start to see a path, it becomes apparent to you. You start moving quickly down it. But without even seeing it, how can someone expect to have motivation? It's like saying, okay, I've got to climb Mount Everest tomorrow. I've got no experience of climbing Mount Everest. I'm not going to be very confident. But once I've been training, I'll have the confidence. So the most important thing I can do is outline a route for somebody, which they can't even see, and then show them that they have the skills to go down that route, and then to build that up so there's momentum and they go through it. That is what it's all about. Fuck what other journeys anybody else is on. Concentrate on your journey. Don't compare it. Think about where you can build the effort and the motivation to get down that path. Think of what you can do and achieve on your own, and give it time. Time is one of the most important variables. Claire Weeks, one of the greatest pioneers in anxiety, said that one of the most important variables in recovery from anxiety disorders is time. And what do people expect? They want it now. They want it fixed now. You can't do it instantly, especially with the likes of generalized anxiety disorder, PTSD. That will not happen. Why? Because you've got physical sensations and sensitized nerves that have been sort of geared up over time to be sort of used all the time as a fight and flight response has been kicking into high gear, and then you're wanting that all to be brought down and expect it to be down again. It's not going to be down like that. It takes time for it to come down. So we have to work through it, going along at our own pace, treating everything like a marathon, not a sprint. If you try and sprint a marathon, you burn out. So we go along gradually. We're bringing it all for the ride. We're going along at our own pace. Expect the anxiety symptoms to take a while to go down. Expect learning to understand and change beliefs is going to take time. Expect to have relapses, up and down moments. Expect to have obstacles in your way. Expect other people to seem like they're doing a lot better than you. This is all part of it. Time. You've got to give time for the anxiety to come down, to get used to the habit of living life with not in that way. You've got so used to anxiety being everything, being on guard, being protected, trying to protect everything, trying to have certainty in everything, following the illusion of certainty. And Voltaire said that certainty is absolutely absurd. It's absolute nonsense, certainty. You can't have certainty. We can get comfortable with uncertainty. I've got no idea. I could have a heart attack right now in this video. I've got no idea. Nothing is certain. Nothing is certain. If you try and achieve certainty, even in the way that you apply, as I was saying in the article I wrote today about unconditional self-acceptance by the founder of CBT, Albert Ellis, if you try and bolt down unconditional self-acceptance, you'll feel anxiety because you're trying to lock it down. It's about learning to be flexible with our approach, learning to bend, learning to change our relationship with OCD, anxious symptoms, anxious thoughts, the whole lot. Learning to be flexible with that. Learn to be compassionate with that. That's what it's about, whilst striving against it. You can hear my tone in these videos is pretty forceful against it, showing what needs to be done and getting behind the people that are struggling and showing them that they can do it. Why? Because so much force is pushing them the other way, showing them, making them think, I can't do it. I will never do it. I will never achieve it. This is too difficult. This is too tough. This is for someone else. Maybe Rob can do it. Maybe he was a different brain or different thinking. Absolute crap. Anyone can recover from OCD. I have never met a case of treatment-resistant OCD. I read so many cases of it in science, in big, long scientific reports talking about treatment-resistant and certain percentages. Absolute rubbish. It's because the variables aren't correct. The person getting them better hasn't got the knowledge. They're trying to do it with a combination of meds and some therapy that's been given across to a lot of people, and the therapy is not even giving them what they need. So you cannot use that. People come to me from India, come to me from the Philippines, where they've had deep brain stimulation, that they've been to 4 or 5 different centres around the world for anxiety and given things to do that haven't helped them and wouldn't work. So then they feel that they are stuck, they are lost, they are never going to get better, that they are the only type of person with the worst kind of OCD that's never going to get better. Everyone thinks they are that one that's never going to get better. Most people have gone from person to person thinking that there's no hope. That is what the journey is like. I've never seen the treatment-resistant OCD. I've seen many people stuck with obstacles in front that they've not had the understanding to get over. Why? Because times have been changing in terms of learning more about OCD, in terms of learning how to get better from OCD, and that's what this is all about. That's why I built OCD Recovery, the page, the company, to help people with OCD wherever they are in the world see the ways to get better. Doesn't matter what you're coming in with, how long you've been stuck, 25 years, 30 years, 5 years, 1 year, 17 years old, 60 years old, makes no difference. But everyone thinks it does. Everyone thinks they are the exception. Everyone thinks they've had it too long, that there's no hope. Everyone thinks just because they've been stuck for so long, they're going to be stuck just as long in the future. All of these factors are what keep people stuck. All of these factors are what make people think that there's no hope. Those factors are irrelevant. So that's the first thing to take into account. Doesn't matter how long, doesn't matter how severe the symptoms, doesn't matter how long one thought's been stuck in your head, how many years, doesn't matter how many changing thoughts you've had, doesn't matter how many physical symptoms you've had, doesn't matter how many books you've read, none of that matters. So, I think if you want motivation and you're feeling lost and stuck, this video today has covered quite a few of those points. It's good to rewatch that if you've just tuned into it now, so that you can see how the journey is and what's involved. Because that journey, I know, I have walked that journey. I've experienced that journey, walking it with thousands of people of all different age groups from all over the world, with language barriers, with helps our translators help with that, but with hosts of physical symptoms, hosts of family problems, hosts of other things in life, hosts of other diseases that they're battling, or other mental health problems, everything, variables we see. All you've got to do is focus one day at a time on what you can do. Focus one day at a time on doing the best you can get out of each day. And that's it. And see where we go from there. And that's the main message today, about the journey and what's needed. And I hope that has helped you, and it will be recorded up onto the YouTube and onto the Facebook page. And I'll see you guys over there. All right, guys, see you later.